Hello, how's it going, everyone? This is Ryan Muska from the Giordano team at Garden State Mortgage. I have a guest for today's little video. It's going to be Jackie Giraldo. She is a wholesale interior designer. She's been in the industry for 12 years, and thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me.
So, interior design, or wholesale interior design. Why don't you just, start off by telling us what that is and exactly what you do?
That's a really big question. We wear a lot of hats in the luxury space. So specifically coming from a wholesale side, essentially you're brokering product that the job needs.
Okay.
And as far as the interior design goes, I help make selections. That sounds pretty easy, but there's a lot to understand when it comes to plumbing and appliances and lighting and what functionally works, what works aesthetically, design, and even forecasting what the market cares about. So staying ahead of trends, right? You kind of have to be innovative in the way that you can pull all these things together. And that's pretty much my specialty. The last 12 years, I've found myself in that niche where I work with the designer, I can communicate to the builder, I speak with the developer. So I have an understanding of the how on the job every day, but
Okay.
I also have the insight and the vision as far as what we're trying to accomplish in order to make it come to life.
Okay. And how did you sort of get into this field? So you are helping people purchase plumbing materials.
Yeah.
How did you even start doing that?
How did I start selling toilets?
Selling toilets.
It's so
Yeah.
fun. I love it. Right out of college, I came into to work for a wholesaler, and actually they ended up becoming the largest wholesaler in North America. So
Wow.
what that means is that I experienced a lot of growth, not only in my company, but also within the industry. It was just kind of booming the last 12 years. There's been a lot of development. It's not stopping. We're in the Northeast, so we're kind of in the mecca of seeing all this evolve over time. So I got into it accidentally through the wholesaler. And what we would do is I'd work in a pretty showroom. Like, I have 300 showrooms across the country. And I worked in one of them. And I ended up running a few of them. But while I was working in the showroom, I would help a homeowner come in. Homeowner would come in clueless. Their plumber said, go to the plumbing supply house and pick out the things I need to start this job. So most people come in with or without a designer, with or without the insight with a builder. Not everyone's involved in this particular process of selecting your fixtures. So it's a very niche space to be in as a wholesaler, because you're taking a homeowner who doesn't have the jargon or the understanding of how these things work together. Can this handle turn on this valve? What type of showering system do I need? I just want it to be a car wash. Okay, great. We're going to make it a car wash, but how do we functionally make it happen and aesthetically understand what you want your bathroom to look like? It's most people's dreams,
I mean, I would have no idea.
You would
I
have
would
no
have no
idea.
idea what I'm doing. I'd be going in there like a headless chicken, basically.
I still have friends texting me I need to pick out a toilet, which is why I say it, because it's funny. And they're like, and I realize, I'm like, wait, why do I know so much about toilets? I'll help you pick out your toilet and understand, measure from here to there and what matters and what price point. And I just ended up getting into it super by accident. And then fast forward, I ended up dealing with more multifamily work. So I went from Mr. and Mrs. Smith coming in and renovating their bathroom and their kitchen and picking out their appliances and their plumbing fixtures and vanities and everything, to now speaking to the developer whose vision is to we're building a 30-unit luxury building. Okay. So 30 luxury apartments in.
And what makes something luxury?
Okay, that's a really
Is it the fixtures within the unit, basically?
Yeah,
Or-
the luxury space typically means you have you're really considering how you're using the space, whether it's an open kitchen. And so there's a lot of thought to detail in luxury, because it's how you feel. It's kind of like a feeling. You walk into a space and the open space or the light colors just make you feel tranquil and it feels inviting, and you feel like you can invite your family, and you can envision them sitting on the couch, you cooking in the kitchen, and creating community to some degree. So luxury space is a feeling. You're selling a luxury experience, which is an elevated experience. And you can do that through colors. You can do that through selections. You can do that through layout. So that's what a luxury market is.
For luxury right now, is there like a trend of like colors that you can get us in on?
Yeah.
What's that trend?
We're going neutrals. We're going with this bio-modern aesthetic, which is after COVID.
Fancy word.
It is. I don't think we've named it. Everyone has different terms for it. The closest I've gotten to describing it is bio-modern, because after COVID and we were all locked in, and our home space became our sanctuary. It's where we spent most of our time. So we started investing in like our environment and how we feel around it. So right now there's a lot of neutral colors, a lot of natural elements and shapes, so like rounded edges, like organic shapes where maybe it's abstract and not necessarily like symmetrical and angular. So softer tones, textures. We want to bring the outside inside, so plants, even like your wood paneling, like adding that texture, monochromatic looks.
This is pretty bio-modern here.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, and that's the feel, that's the aesthetic, that's luxury.
Okay. Okay. So that 30-unit building that you're working on, all right? So that's just one of the projects you're working on. But typically, how long is the timeline for the projects that you're working on? Are you there for the whole thing? Are you there for a portion of it? Like
That's
just
a
explain
really
the
good question.
timeline, basically. Yeah.
I have a very unique perspective as a wholesaler because I get to see the job from beginning to end, and not all jobs are the same. The same 30-unit, luxury condo project for one developer may take 12 months versus 24 months. And it just depends on your skill set and ability to take things from a vision to executing it to full execution. So that's where the partnerships in our industry are so important. There's just different skill levels. There's, you hire me and I can provide a level of foresight just because of the trials and errors that I've learned on these jobs. What goes wrong? You foresee that. That's time. That's money. What typical obstacles do we come across? I'm able to present that up front and having solutions all the way through a construction project is number one. So it is not one size fits all. It depends on your skill level. And that's something that is coming up in our industry that's like, wait, we don't have enough plumbers and electricians or enough skilled labor. Like, you want a good plumber on your job site. Now you're on his schedule. So now your project may be extended to work with a particular partner that you could rely on. So not all jobs are created equal. And that's a sticking point right now where expertise is at its all-time highest value in our industry, because there's a surge of development. We're building a lot. There's a lot more rentals going up, like people in my generation, maybe we're renting more than purchasing homes. So developers, we're corresponding quickly. And so we're kind of like in this urban design, we're designing our communities. We're dealing with inflation. We're dealing with, a lot of us went into white collar work versus blue collar work, plumbers, electricians. So we're used to office work. Where do you put us? We're not building. So there's less and less people building. There's less and less electricians on site that you can rely on. And yet we have more work than ever. So you have a shortage of labor. And then on top of that labor, you think of like your class, you graduate, there's people that graduate with honor rolls and people that flunk. So there's different skill sets in that same demographic of person. So within the same electricians that have certifications or plumbers that have their licenses, not all are created equal.
Yeah.
So in a luxury space,
any industries like that.
Yeah,
it's not just electricians.
No. But it's an interesting thing happening, because when you say what's the typical life cycle, there's no honest answer to that because it depends. There's so many caveats that it depends on. And as a wholesaler, I get a 30,000 foot view because my company is also, they're national. So I have insight on different markets, and we all build at different paces. We all have different obstacles that, maybe it's
There's
like
different laws in different areas.
different laws. Maybe it's the financing that gets in the way. So I see it from the beginning because I also have product that goes behind the wall. So things are framed, I'm providing product to the plumbers so he can plumb. Then the sheetrock goes up, the tile goes up, and then the next phase of products that I also introduce to the project come into play.
Yeah.
And then that evolves, and then you're at the punch list side of your project towards the tail end. And then we're still involved because we're cleaning up messes. Maybe there's damages. Maybe things aren't working. Someone changes their mind.
Yeah.
So from beginning to end, we happen to have a presence on the field. So we see a lot, even just through wholesaling.
Okay. And you keep mentioning wholesaling. But like in your industry, like what's the difference between like wholesale and retail? Like I guess it's different for multiple industries. Like I'm a wholesale mortgage broker, so I get the difference between that, like getting a loan through me and then getting a loan through a bank. It's usually cheaper with us. So explain wholesale to retail for your situation.
Yes. So retail, you walk into a big box store.
Okay.
And you're trying to find someone that works in aisle 6 to help you make selections.
What's a big box store? Like, is there like which? Do you have like a specific one?
There's some big names out there that I'm sure with the big orange letters. And,
okay. So that's what we're talking about. All right. Thank you.
So we have a lot of those entities, right? And so retail and service, like the big word is service and expertise. When you walk into a retailer, that's the service and the experience you're going to get. When you check out, you're going to check out at the register. Now, when you deal with a wholesaler, you're walking into maybe one of our showrooms and you're going to get a professional that's not from aisle 6 or 12. They have a level of experience managing projects, procuring material, making selections for people where they can consult you and guide you in an expertise way to help you make, your kitchen renovation run as smoothly as possible. So that's where partnerships are really important. So like where the big box stores end, we begin. Is really where our niche, where my market is. And in the luxury space, the expertise that you bring, that I work with a lot of manufacturers. So I can say, hey, this market, no longer a sub-zero market. People don't really care about the red knobs. We're getting away with Thermador here, you guys. It's hot. People like Thermador. So even that will help make selections that are not just, okay, yeah, this is what you aesthetically like. This is your budget and when you're trying to accomplish, but also I'm giving you a little bit of insight and forecasting, hey, value into those selections, into that decision making.
Got you.
So it's a lot more tailored to what you need accomplished. So construction is very solution oriented. That's the only way to move things along. And the only way to have solutions is to have context. And that nuance is in your skills, learning from mistakes on jobs, and caring to do so. So it's a more consultative environment than it is retail transactional. And the expertise is that's just not where you find your experts, So that's the difference between wholesale and retail. And we can go into it more because even on the procurement side, as a wholesaler, I have a lot of buying power. I move a lot of boxes. I buy a lot of boxes. So we're in constant partnership with our manufacturers to say, hey, I have these 3 major projects that I'm working on. Maybe you can help cut me a break. The market's tough. Like this is a new developer I'm bringing to you. So now we're also working as almost like sales reps for our manufacturers. And so there's partnerships there and we have to play fair. We have to all play nice in the sandbox, and there has to be a real business evaluation and
And an
analysis as to
understanding of the industry as well as the product that you're
correct.
selling.
I
That whole
think
thing.
at a wholesale level, at a consultative level, it's your responsibility to provide at the highest level your best insight and opinion on something. That means you have to educate yourself. You're also not, you're, my goal in mind, I'm very customer centric. This is what you're trying to accomplish, and I'm very mindful of that. So you have to be, so kind of integrity, I think, for me, how I function, that's also important. And that's why I have clients that trust me. I will give you my best opinion, and if I don't know, I will find out.
Okay.
That's very
It's
consultative.
just more bang
and
for your
wholesale.
buck, basically.
Yeah,
You're working
there's
with a
value there.
professional who knows, knows the product, knows the industry, knows, trends. There's a lot more value add.
There's a lot more value
Gotcha.
add.
And
So it's like a one-stop shop, like
Yeah.
where you can, you
Yeah.
can do all these little things you need to do on a job, like provide material, but you also get a one-stop shop where you have someone that's really your advocate and liaison into this world that you know nothing about,
yeah,
but we have a 30,000 foot view in.
that's good. That's good. I think just wholesale across the board in most industries is better than retail. But thank you for that
Yeah,
explanation.
yeah. A lot of insight on wholesale.
Yeah, yeah. And then when it comes to like who you find yourself working with a lot, are you working with like the individual, couple who's renovating their bathroom or renovating their or building a home, or are you working with developers? Who do you find yourself, more just working with?
Right. Well, and so there's different segments of my business. So right now I focus more on the multifamily space
And
and
multifamily, like what is that? Is that like 2, 3, 4 unit properties, or are
that could
these
be a
like
duplex.
a duplex?
It
like
could be a 30
2
unit building. It could be a 300 unit building.
Okay.
It could
And-
also be a builder that's, he's building 10 homes a year, single family. So when we talk about the clients that I'm finding myself work with more now, it used to be Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And that used to be very like, here's a bathroom renovation, a kitchen renovation. Maybe I'm doing my whole house, or maybe I'm working with the designer and helping them make selections in a showroom. Now, what I do is I work with more builders and developers, still some designers. Some right now, who is the decision maker is the person that I'm working with. And so who's purchasing? Now we have a lot of developers bulk buying and leveraging their purchasing power because they can,
Yeah.
so they can
A lot
they
of
can
financing
buy.
options.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
financing options. It's
Yep.
bottom line.
Yep.
So they understand that. And that's more of the space that I'm finding myself in. So whoever's procuring on a larger scale, typically the developer or the builder, that's who I'm working with. There used to be a time where there was a lot of markup on product. If a plumber sent my client, their client into a showroom, there was markup on the product. They just knew, the customer knew that they were paying 20% more on the product just because they have their plumber managing it, servicing it. It's just he's liable for anything that were to ever go wrong, whether it's installation or the product, he's managing that. The internet happened heavily the last 12 years. So there's this informational age of like, we just have an educated consumer. So because we have an educated consumer, there's no more markup. Now there's more people willing to buy. That's a very important conversation and understanding who I work with because that's evolved. Now we have developers and builders. When you're talking about single family home, there's homeowners involved, right? So sometimes, even though I'm working with the builder, they're saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith is paying. I'm not on the hook for this. Not enough money in it for me.
Yeah.
So that's happening a lot. And that's also why my niche of expertise is really important, because your homeowners also being put into the situation where they have to make decisions. And even though they're more informed because of the internet, whether it's pricing or like literal technical information on product, they still need someone to guide them. So you have to figure out who that is. It's like the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
So I'm dealing with I'm still dealing with those types of clients through my showrooms, but I have people manage those appointments day to day. Now I'm outside of a brick and mortar setting, so I am dealing with more of the developers and builders where I'm brokering the deal. I'm
Yeah.
understanding and
Yeah.
negotiating what you need accomplished to broker an immense amount of product.
Got you.
You know, I've done a building that, you know, it was $2.4 million in appliances alone.
Wow.
You know, we're talking
Wow.
about big projects, you know, and then we have a home that's maybe like we're spending $30,000 on an appliance package.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, a lot less.
yeah, I'm dealing with a lot of the 2.4
You got a wide
million.
spectrum of things going on.
Yeah.
So just like briefly, like what is your, like why would, you know, a builder developer, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, like why do they turn to you aside from, you know, you have the expertise, you know, they could do their own research. So like why do they turn to you for their project?
Ultimately, they need someone to buy it for them better. It comes down to the bottom line. There's a lot of transparency when it comes to pricing now because of the internet, and the market's incredibly competitive, especially here in the Northeast. So some people may be diluting the market because they're just trying to be aggressive. Mom and pops are trying to survive. You know, larger entities like the company I work for, you know, we're very acquisition heavy. So I understand there's like this survival in our market. And at the end of the day, they come to me because I can leverage purchasing power. And that's the power in wholesale on a big scale. And so, yes, my expertise is great. And I really hope people value that. And a lot of them do. But I have to show up and be able to present a package in a very competitive way as a wholesaler ultimately. That's where I am in the market. And there's a lot that I can leverage through the entity that I represent. And people know that.
You have the connections, you have the knowledge, and you have the prices. You are just competitive all around, basically. Wholesale.
Yeah, it's not you know, easier said than done. It's a fight. It's a fight, but you need
every deal.
People like me or my boss or my team that I work with. You need people that are willing to fight that fight for you, because a lot of people don't care. So you also want a partner. You can have the entity go in the wild, wild west and find a representative that will go to bat and yield results. That's like part two, you know? So,
and that's where you are.
I just happened to be in that space the last 12 years. And I've really like chiseled away in myself in that niche. And that's where we are today. And it's always evolving. Construction, and just like anything in life, but it's constantly evolving. And I can serve you the best as long as I'm willing to elevate my standards, what I know, be willing to be a student again. And you're constantly learning.
Yeah. Constantly learning.
Yeah.
So speaking of constantly learning things,
yes.
As we go into 2026, is there any sort of like, you know, things you're keeping an eye out, or like things you're expecting in your industry specifically for 2026? Are you expecting, you know, a lot more buildings to be built? Like, what's the situation looking like? What's your professional insight?
My professional insight is we have to be very meticulous. I mean, when I'm talking about pricing, and that's right now with inflation, and you know, after COVID, you know, they in my market, it's been wild. The price could be one price 1 week, 3 weeks later, it's something else. 2 months. For example, we have manufacturers that have price increases every year. You know, typically that's how it works. Unprecedented. Now we have manufacturers that show 5 price increases a year. How do you maintain that? I have a job you purchased today at $1 million. In 6 months, 12 months, now I might be in the red if I'm not careful with the margin that I allow, or the conversations we're having as far as how long I'm holding your material. When do I expect you to take it? Are you accounting for storage on your material? That's an additional cost. So cost and understanding what's involved with just moving that many boxes is huge, because right now we're dealing with inflation. We're dealing with a volatile market. From as far as our manufacturers, we don't really, the best we could do is say, hey, sorry, developer, they just went up 6%, not our fault. They're like, it's also not my fault. So who's stuck holding the bag? So there just has to be really good communication and foresight on those things. Maybe harder conversations with our builders and developers where we need to plan better. And that's a luxury. That's not even an option sometimes on some projects.
I bet.
But we are going to be the busiest that we ever have been. We aren't building quick enough. So like in Allendale, right? Like we're talking about like city planning, right? So each town or city is tasked with, hey, we need to build 1,000 units somehow in this square footage, figure it out. And there's a lot of developers and builders that are kind of like, how are we even going to do this? It's the middle of Allendale. Like you're not going to put up this, 10-story building, and it makes sense. So we're going to be tasked with how much we actually need to build in the Northeast. This is the New York metro area. And because of that much procurement, as far as the wholesale side goes, we are going to have to be very careful with what we agree to and like the terms and conditions to what we agree to, because it's already a volatile market. Margins are slim. We have to account and forecast for things that we don't know.
You got to have like sort of a buffer zone.
A buffer zone. How much of a buffer zone? How much of a buffer zone am I still?
That's for you to figure out.
Right. And that's what I'm tasked with on my side. Yes.
Sounds like a pretty difficult job.
It's fun.
That's why you need a professional like you there.
Yeah, exactly. It is.
Yeah.
I'm appreciating that more in the professionals that I work with that do it at a high level. We have some very, very experienced people.
You have people on your team you can refer to for help, etc.
Oh yeah. That's important. I mean, listen, when I first started selling toilets in a little showroom that was like an
back
office.
to the toilets.
Yeah, back to the toilets. I was sitting next to professionals that have been doing this for 20, 30 years. Like I got to learn from the best. And now, I'm working alongside there may people that maybe have been 5 years in the industry, like baby in the industry. And a lot of this experience, this legacy is like they're sunsetting out. That's also that gap in my industry that the developers and builders are up against. Less plumbers, less skilled plumbers, less electricians, less skilled electricians.
There's just a skill gap.
It's a skill gap. It's
any
thing.
industry. That's really 100%. What you see. Yeah.
If you're
a lot going on.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it's a very real thing.
Yeah. That's why you need people like us who are skilled at our jobs.
You do. Yeah, you do.
Exactly.
And it's nice to have come across paths with you, because what's come up a lot more now is we're building a lot and we need to finance that. So who's going to facilitate a construction loan efficiently, effectively, the same expertise and yielding results that I produce for my client, you're up against the same thing.
Yeah, but that's where we step in. We're the professionals in getting everything financed, making sure we're doing it by the books on a timely manner.
Exactly.
All that type of stuff. Yeah, construction, like you said, definitely. But thank you so much, Jackie. It was a pleasure having you on today. If you have any questions about interior design, wholesale, making sure that your next project is well planned out financially as well as timeline, Jackie's information will be available, and you can by all means reach out to her. But thank you again.
Yes.
It was
Let's sell toilets.
Toilets and mortgages.
And mortgages.
Thank you.
Thank you.